Hey everybody, Becky here, and I am bringing you my completed junk journal that I made for the challenge that Jessica at I'm a Cool Mom issued to make a junk journal out of Dollar Tree items only, spending no more than $15. Now, right off, I need to admit I have a couple of tiny little cheats in here, and you'll see one of them right here is these little leaf sequins that I glued onto the bottoms of my ties. And I got these at the Target dollar spot. They were only $1 for this little jar full of little leaves, so I didn't spend too much on them, but I did not get them from the Dollar Tree, so I have to admit to that. But I was eventually going to add those on anyway, so I went ahead and added them now. I made the cover of my journal using a book and then covered it with a fabric placemat and then wrapped some wide wired ribbon around that and then added some leaves for a decoration and then made a little bow out of some sheer ribbon that I also used for the ties for my journal. So let's take a look inside. So on the inside cover I have a picture from the calendar that I got. And I have some parchment paper here that I added because you know those fancy books, they used to always have parchment or vellum paper at the front of the book. So I decided that my junk journal was going to be fancy too, and I added a little parchment paper here so you can kind of just see through. Then I have a little title page that I made out of using little scraps of the calendar page and just fashioned the words Fall 2017 and put those on a piece of calendar paper. And I've got leaves throughout the journal that came from that bag of leaves that I used. This is coffee dyed paper that's got a little flip out here. This is a paper bag that I trimmed with ribbon. This is just one of the sticky notes that I got and that already had lines on it, so that was nice. Those make nice little journaling spots. And then ribbon on the other side of that as well. This is the wide ribbon that I bought, and I made a little tuck spot for it, or for this page, and then made tags out of index card and the notepad paper that I bought. And then this page has a little flip up. This is just a little piece of the one of the page tabs that came with that sticky note set. And this is, I fussy cut out of that notepad paper. I made an envelope out of the copy paper that I used. And this little picture came from the spine of the book cover. There's actually a bigger picture that was on the front of the book, but that I've actually used someplace else in the journal, but it also had this little one, so I just stuck it on here. And I kind of was sorry I hadn't used the coffee dyed paper to make the envelopes, and it was kind of stark white, so I just added a little ink to some of these. So the ink pad is another one of my little cheats. It did not come from the Dollar Tree, but I saw lots of other people using it, so I thought, well, it's probably okay to do that. Again, little fussy cutout flower and butterfly from that notepad paper. I moved the butterfly on this one so it wouldn't be in the exact same spot as the other one. And then I made little journaling cards from index paper, and I fussy cut out one of the flowers from the napkins that I got, and I glued it on here, and it kind of worked like decoupage. I didn't have any decoupage glue, but I just used the Tombow glue that Jessica uses. I tried that out and really liked it, and it worked really well for decoupaging, I discovered. So this is one of those plastic page protectors that I opened wide, and I cut the top off of this side. This was the edge that had the holes that you would put in a 3-ring binder, and then I cut all of that off as well as a little tiny bit further into it, so it was open at the top. The napkin tends to slide around in here, so I used some paper clips. These are another one of my small cheats. This was not part of my 15 items, but they are from the Dollar Tree, so thought that was probably okay. And then I just added some ribbon to this one. This one has the little page tabs that I made a little decoration on that. And then again, this is a napkin that's in there. I made a little envelope here out of the parchment paper and then made a little tag using index card and pieces from that notepad. This is again more of the paper bag with some ribbon trim on it. This, I made a little tuck spot here using 2 pieces of the sticky notes, and I just sealed it along these 2 edges. And then this is an index card with some of the napkin that I glued onto that. Up here I made kind of my own little washi tape using the little page tabs, and I just stuck them one on top of the other and made a little kind of washi tape looking kind of thing. And I did the same thing on the other side since it showed through on to this side. And then I put one of the lined sticky notes down here for journaling. This is another picture out of the calendar. And this one has a little flip up. I cut some grass out of the calendar page and added on there just for a little color. And this is a paper bag that I just cut some stuff out of the paper bag and used that, or not paper bag, I'm sorry, the calendar. And then I made a little journaling card using index card with another one of those lined sticky notes, and this one I left kind of open so there's lots of space to write on that one. And there's lots of space to write. This is a full sheet of the notepad paper. Then this, I put some of the wide ribbon down. These pages both flip out. I don't know if you can see it. And then I put journaling spots on both of the flaps made out of the notepad paper. And these are also open right here. They could tuck some little things right inside of both of those. Again, I used more of the little sequins in the middle of my signature on my little ties. Paper bag with another little journaling card made out of calendar. I used one of those little page tabs to make a little pull for that, and just inked the other side. Calendar paper, parchment. I like how you can see through the parchment to see these calendar pages. I kind of did that purposefully. I used book paper here, and I traced around that with, I think, the spool from the ribbon, and then I fussy cut out another one of the flowers from the napkin and glued that on here. And this is a kind of a double flip out. This is a little tuck spot I made with one of the pictures from the back of the calendar on a little piece of copy dyed paper. Tag that I made with the index card and notepad paper. This is the other side of the page protector. This one I left sealed at the top, but it's open on this side, so which would have originally been the top of the page protector. It was just, that's where the opening was. Again, I'm holding it in place with a paper clip with a little page tab decor on it. Another piece from the calendar. This reminds me of the Japanese garden that's here in Portland. I live in Portland, Oregon, or in that area. And this really reminds me of the Japanese garden in the fall. If you ever get a chance to be in Portland in the fall, be sure and go visit that. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is the other side of that page tab thing. I made the envelope here with the copy paper again. That's the other side of it. And this has just got a little journaling card with calendar paper, and that's the other side. I'll put that back in later. Another piece from the calendar. Here's a little side pocket I made. This has a kind of a full sheet of the napkin glued onto it, and then onto the back of it. index card for journaling. And this is just a little flip out. I wanted to leave a lot of space. I've got a lot of pictures that I've been taking for the fall, and I want to have space to put those in, so I left a lot of this purposefully open. Another little strip of that washi tape I made. This is a little pocket I made from the, it's kind of a little sticky right there. 2 sheets of the sticky notes, and then I just cut the top off of one, so it made that little pocket to tuck this little tag in. This is a belly band made out of the calendar paper. I had originally had it for something else, and I didn't like how it was. It had another piece on the back already, so I kind of like how you can see through there. And then this is a piece from the book page that I added a little leaf that I fussy cut off of the wide ribbon. And then I took the wired edge of that ribbon and cut it and glued it down here. And that was a little tricky to do because it kept wanting to pop up, and the glue took a while for it to dry, so I had to hold it in place, part of it in place, before I could finish it. So you're only going to see one of those in here because that was kind of time consuming to do. This was a really happy accident when I was coffee dyeing. I have this really, really old jelly roll pan that I use to put the papers in and set out in the sun to dry. And it kind of stuck on there and created this kind of almost fossilized leaf or fern look. I really liked that, so I knew I wanted to kind of feature that as a kind of a piece of the decor. The middle here, I cut another strip of the calendar page because I didn't like that big old gap in there, so I just covered that up, and I kind of liked how that turned out. This was a little nursery rhyme that I cut out of the book that I used, and it's talking about this woman. She saw a murder of crows. That's not the title, I don't think, of the nursery rhyme, but I just put that in there. And a murder of crows is what a group of crows are called. And it just says 1 for bad news, 2 for mirth, 3 is a wedding, 4 is a birth, 5 is for riches, 6 is a thief, 7 a journey, 8 is for grief. So depending on how many crows you see at a time, there's your little fortune. And this is book page that, again, I cut out in a circle and added more of the little leaves from the wide ribbon that I fussy cut out. And then this, again, is a double flip out parchment paper that you can see through. I really like how that happened. Actually, I made that happen. Calendar, another pocket here from the wide ribbon. Another one of these little sticky note tag holders I made. That I did not see anybody else do, so I'm going to claim that as original. If somebody else has done it, that's just a happy accident. So that's the one original thought I might have had in this whole thing. This is another journaling card with calendar paper stuck in the paper bag. And I left my bags open so that I could add more stuff into it. A little page out of the calendar. That's where I cut the strips of that red paper off of the bigger calendar. This is another parchment paper with some wide ribbon on it. I may eventually close this down. I might close that down too, but I thought I'd leave it for now, depending on what I want to use it for. Another napkin in here. These napkins had a lot of just blank space on them, so I decided to add a flower that I tried to make using pieces of that notepad paper. I cut a bunch of those partial flowers out and then kind of layered them together to try and create a singular flower. That was also not easy, so there's only one of those in here too. There's the other side with the napkin. This is a envelope I made out of parchment paper, and I created a little notebook here that I think I want to use for my thankfulness journal in November. And there was a small calendar that came with the big calendar. I didn't realize that when I bought it, so this is one of the pages from that calendar. And again, I decorated that with the little cutouts from the notepad paper. This is another envelope I made that I cut a circle out of and then backed it with parchment paper so you could kind of see through. There's a little butterfly I added to this side. And then I made little journaling cards to put in using a flower I fussy cut from the napkin and glued down, and then a piece of the trim from the notepad paper. And then this is just a big piece of a bigger calendar page from the back of the calendar. It was kind of a sample of the calendar page, what the whole thing looked like, so it was a little bit bigger than most of these other little pictures. And this reminds me of the vineyard areas in Oregon. I've been up on the hills up there, and this is kind of the view you get out over the Willamette Valley. So it's really, that reminds me of that. I don't know where these pictures were taken, but there's a lot of them that reminded me of Oregon. Again, the evergreen trees in this one reminded me of Oregon too. This is a little tuck spot here, something you can go behind. This strip I cut off of the big calendar page that is the same picture. You can see this is the wooden planks that are up here. It's hiding something I'll show you in just a second. So I just needed a strip to kind of cover that spot. This is where I made a little glassine bag out of the parchment paper, and it's the flap from the envelope that's glued down under here, and it kind of got all wrinkly when I glued it down, so that's why I put that strip on the other side. And then, I'm sorry, let me just move this over. Then I made a little journaling card in here. Index paper again, and that notepad. Middle of the second signature, and again I put some of those little leaf sequins on there. This is book paper and a little leaf on top, and another double flip out here with the paper bag. This I had put the sticky note down, but it looked kind of plain, so I cut out a some little hearts. I made folded a piece of paper and cut a half heart, and then opened that up, and that became my template. And then I cut other little hearts and just made a little flower out of those book pages, inked them, and then cut a little circle out of a piece of the calendar page to make a center, and I kind of like how that turned out. And then this has another one of those journaling cards with the napkin flower and the trim from the notepad. And this is the other side of that envelope with the cutouts and the parchment paper, so you can see them in the little butterfly. This is another little tuck spot I made. This one I did seal up, so it's just tucked in there with a picture from the back of the calendar. This was, I think this was the last thing I made, and I had made these little tag templates out of the index card that I just, used to make my other ones. So I had one left, and I thought, well, I'll just make it, put that in. What can I put on the front? And I looked around, and I saw the ribbon, the wide ribbon, and it fit exactly on there. So that was a really happy accident. So anyway, that's my little end tag. This was the picture from the front of the dust jacket that I used on the book, or that was on the book that I used for the cover of my journal. And this is just a piece of the paper bag in here. Again, I've got a little paper clip holding that on with the page tag. And this whole page may come out eventually. I have a fuse tool, and I may fuse this down the middle so I can put 4 pictures, 2 on each side in there. Another flip out that, again, I might seal down. This is open in here too, so that's coming up a little bit right there. To glue that again. Another little glassine envelope with a tag in it. Another paper bag with a tag. Another big tag and pocket with the wide ribbon. Calendar page that you can see through the parchment. Another sticky note for journaling. And this is another side envelope. This one I took a page of the book page and glued the napkin onto, kind of again decoupaged on there. And I backed it with coffee dyed paper because that book page was pretty flimsy. So I did that. And added a little ribbon pull to it. And then this is cardboard that came with the calendar, and I made a little belly band out of that. Added a little piece of calendar page for a decoration, and it was too long, so I cut it off, and then I just added that on across there. I did see somebody else make one of these, so I definitely do not claim that as my own, the corrugated cardboard I ripped up. And then there's that picture of what reminds me of the Japanese garden again. This is the big full calendar page. That's the back cover. So that is my junk journal. I had a really fun time making this, and thank you, Jessica from I'm a Cool Mom, for issuing this challenge, because it kind of got me going. This is the first journal I've ever made, junk journal, and I really had a lot of fun. And I've watched a lot of the rest of you making these, and saw that you were having fun with them too. So this was really good challenge to do. Thank you for watching, and thank you for those of you who have subscribed. I had to kind of laugh. I had discovered I had 10 subscribers before I ever even put any content up. And since then, I've gathered a bunch of more subscribers. So thank you to all of you who have subscribed, and I will work on maybe bringing you some more content. So bye for now. Thanks.